Testing, testing. 1, 2. Testing, testing. Am I live yet? Let me check. Hold on. He could be live. He could be Memorex. Let's see. It says I'm live. 14 viewers. Holy shit. Now that's what I call a patron live hangout. Let me go back over here. Hold on. How you guys doing? Just let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if I'm live. Testes, testes. 1, 2, 3. I don't speak Spanish. Hey, Dave, what's up, man? Dave says loud and clear. Lima Charlie. In the military, that's what we called it. Lima Charlie. Lima Charlie. Levi, get over here. Damn it. Yeah, there's no intro music. It's just boom, here I am. And we're going to do Lost Boys. Lost Boys. Are you guys ready? Let me say hello. Hold on. Let me say, back up, Lee. Back up. Ashley, I see Ashley in there. I see Holly. I see Rosemary, Jackson, SC, Dave Vanderhoff. For all things horror. Chad, what's up, Chad? How you doing? Yeah, Chris, the badass ninja. It's so nice to see you guys in here. So nice. Are you guys having a wonderful Memorial Day weekend? Are you guys doing anything fun for Memorial Day? I do have some trivia questions for you guys too. I have 3 trivia questions. All right, 3 trivia questions. Whoever answers the trivia question will get a prize. You'll get a prize, okay? And usually, what's up, Trial and Error? Or Thriver? Thriver? I can't say it. Man. I know it's been a while since we did our last live movie night. I want to make it a goal to make sure I stick to once a month. And I know quite a few of you voted for Better Off Dead. And we're going to do Better Off Dead the next live stream, okay? So I know Dave voted for Better Off Dead. So... And it's to those of you that didn't vote for Better Off Dead, that haven't seen Better Off Dead, oh boy, are you in for a treat. You are in for a treat. Let's see. Let me read what you guys are saying. Hold on. Let me see what you're saying. Okay. I grilled some hot dogs, hamburgers, and corn. I grilled a burger today, actually, Dave. It was really good, too. 80%. If I go 93%, the flavor's not there as much as 80%. 80% ground chuck. That's the treat, people. Rosemary says, today is my last day of class before I graduate from my master's program. So it's an exciting day. That's awesome. Rosemary, you were at Spooky Empire, weren't you? I hate that I missed you. Fun is not working. That's true. Congrats, Rosemary. Yes, definitely big congrats. Better Off Dead, hell yes. Let's see. Ashley says, I haven't seen it yet. Ashley, oh my God, I'm telling you, you are in for... I would not recommend a movie for the Patron Live Hangout if it wasn't a banger of a movie. And Better Off Dead, I'll save all the talk of it when we do it. But I grew up on that movie, and it is so freaking fun. Yes, Rosemary was there. I hate that I freaking missed you, Rosemary. I was only there for, I think I was there for like maybe an hour. I didn't get much time on Sunday, but I wanted to go and just see the horror family for a little bit. So I did stop off for like an hour just so I could hang with some people. But it was fun. This Spooky Empire, Rosemary, I don't know if you've been to like some of the previous ones, but this one felt smaller in scale than some of the previous ones I've been to. Which that's not a bad thing. You know, sometimes smaller in scale is a better thing. But yeah. So, are you guys ready for Lost Boys? I haven't watched Lost Boys in a while, actually. But let me know. Give me some hit plays. Give me some yes, whatever, and we'll start this thing. Okay, we will start this thing. Is Levi here? Yep, Levi is laying behind me. That's good. Let me shut my door. Yes. This was my first time going to Spooky. I just had to see Millie Bobby Brown. Yeah, and she wasn't even there on Sunday. So, and I bet that line for her was probably massive. Fruit Loop says yes. Ready whenever you're. Okay, cool. Let me grab my remote here. Remote. Okay, so let me hit. Okay, hit that. Let me show you which version I got. Oh, hold on. Let me back it up. Okay, I got it at the beginning. So my DVD, it just starts like immediately when you put it in. All right. So let's count it down from 10, 9, 8, a 7, a 6, a 5, a 4, a 3, 2, 1, disco. Hit play, people. Boom. There we go. Warner Brothers logo, widescreen. What's hey guys? Widescreen or full screen? What do you prefer? What do you prefer? Of course, widescreen. Yes, I always prefer the intended aspect ratio. Let me turn that down. I don't want to get a copyright. Turn it down, Lee. Hold on. Okay, and let me put on the subs. Guys, answer me this too. Is Cry Little Sister maybe not the greatest rock song from a horror movie? Like, is there a better rock song in any horror movie than Cry Little Sister? And it just feels like it is the fabric of that movie. Even though I read that the guy that wrote the song had never even seen the movie, but he did write it for the movie. Right away, we're introduced to the vampires. Now, guys, I always forget their freaking names, so you might have to help me out. But Kiefer Sutherland and his gang. I know the main character is Michael. Hold on, let me turn on my... There we go. I'm not a big fan of Lost Boys. Everybody loves it. Wow, Dave. Holy crap. Let me unpack that for a second. Jesus. Man, Dave, I need to know why, first of all. I need to know why. And no judgment, you know. We're all fans of different things, but you might be the very first person I've ever stated that they didn't like Lost Boys. I've heard quite a few people state that it's their favorite vampire movie. Some have even stated that it's their favorite horror movie altogether. Now, if you remember, the late 80s, there was a crop of young talent, young actors coming out. Well, you can be both Fright Night and Lost Boys. I love Fright Night just as much as I love Lost Boys. But there was a crop of young, talented actors coming out, and, you know, speaking superficially, a lot of good-looking guys coming out, you know, and I'm a straight white male, but you know, you had freaking River Phoenix, you had Christian Slater, you had Jason Patrick, of course. Then you had another generation coming behind him with Corey Haim, Corey Feldman. There was just a lot of, and these were all great actors back then. You know, they weren't just a pretty face, and a lot of beautiful young women at that time frame too. I think the late 80s was what I call, I guess, the pretty sexy phase of Hollywood. You know, Brad Pitt, of course, was a big one at that time. I mean, he was just really getting started. 90s kicked open the door for a lot of these guys and gals. So now you got the young family from out of town. They're moving to Santa Carla. Yeah, Santa Carla. Even though it's Santa Cruz is where they shot this. I think Santa Carla is a fictional place, right, guys? And here's a what you call a warm up round. Okay, this is for no prize, but what is the, I guess, slogan for Santa Carla? Okay, no prize here. I'm just trying to get you lubed up, get you good and ready for when the main event comes around for the trivia. But yeah, what is the slogan for Santa Carla? Santa Carla, all right. Dave says this movie feels like a PG Dawson's Creek vampire movie. I don't think so. No, this has got some violence, heavy violence in it. I mean, Kiefer Sutherland bites a cue ball headed dude like he's biting into an apple. You're not going to see that on freaking PG Dawson's Creek. And this is definitely not PG. This is definitely R. I wouldn't say hard R, but there's some heavy violence in this movie. As a matter of fact, I'll even say when I first saw this, there's some freaky stuff in it. There's some creepy stuff in this movie. So I'm going to disagree with you on the Dawson's Creek comparison. Maybe only in that there's pretty people, but that's about it. Nobody's got the question yet. Rosemary says River was her biggest crush ever. Man, it's two celebrity deaths that kind of hit me hard, were River Phoenix and Brandon Lee. Those two, for some reason, really, just because of the potential and the talent, especially River. After seeing River in Stand By Me and, Mosquito Coast with Harrison Ford, and, he was very picky with the roles that he took. He didn't want to be the teen beat star, He was very picky. Matter of fact, I would even say River Phoenix probably would have fit in nicely with the Lost Boys. So, let me silence my notifications. Murder capital of the world. Holly gets it. There you go. That's it. It is the murder capital of the world. Okay. Corey Haim, man, I always get sad when I see Corey Haim, and he's so vibrant and full of life. And I was reading that he even stated that this was like one of the funnest times he's ever had in his life was shooting this movie. This is where he first met Corey Feldman, and they became fast friends, and they were hanging out, watching movies together, and it's such a shame. Love the grandpa too, and the ending of this movie when the grandpa, he's known about this the whole time, and he's not to be bothered with it. That's what I love about the grandpa. But my commentaries, they're always unlisted, or most of the time they're unlisted for the patrons. So like right now, only my patrons are watching this. But if you're seeing this after the live stream, then know that if you're a patron, you can come on, you can watch these. We do prizes, we play grab ass, we have a good time with each other. My phone's ringing. Dang it. Hold on just a sec, guys. Let me answer this real quick. Um, can anybody tell me the brand of the grandpa keeps in his fridge? Because those snacks, I always loved. Well, I'll preface it by saying I'm a big peanut butter fan. Like, do you guys like your favorite snack is peanut butter? Anything like, are you like addicted to peanut butter like I am, or do you not like peanut butter? But I'll just say it. His snack was peanut butter boppers, and I remember back in the day they did sell those peanut butter boppers, and another one that they sold was the PB Max. It was just a very short time they sold the PB Max, which it was like this square. Hold on. Why is my Jesus? Am I still live? Hold on, let me fix my camera. Okay, there we go. I'm back. I don't know. I think I might have hit. Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you guys can hear me. Yeah, I guess you can. Obviously, you can because you're saying peanut butter. Yes, peanut butter is amazing. Holly says, I love the grandpa in this. One thing about living in Santa Carla, I can never stomach all the damn vampires. Exactly. That, I tell you, when I first saw this, that threw me for a loop. I was like, all this time, as intense as this movie is, it's almost like it deflates the whole movie because the grandpa's like, oh yeah, I know about this shit. It's been going on forever. What the? Why is my phone like freaking out? Jesus. Jamie Gertz. Oh boy, did I have a mad crush on her. Man. I'm going to pick on Dave Vanderhall through this whole thing. Are you serious? Freaking, are you calling this a PGCW? You got the freaking sweaty sax, man. You're not going to see that on the freaking CW. Jesus. Dave, you need to give this another shot, man. Jason Patrick. I thought for sure that Jason Patrick was going to just be, he's going to have this massive career like say Tom Cruise, because he just had the look. I thought he was a really good actor. He was perfectly cast as Michael in this. And I think he chose, like River Phoenix, he wanted to be very selective with his roles. And then maybe he turned down a lot of roles that he probably shouldn't have. And he was just a little bit too patient. And I think it cost him. But I loved Jason Patrick. That's the one thing about Lost Boys. It has one of the best pound for pound casts of any vampire movie. My phone keeps freaking buzzing. I'm going to turn it off, I think. Because I don't know how to sign. I'm just going to turn it off, I think. Yeah. Let me turn it off. I need to devote my time to my pay. Okay, yeah. My phone is off, guys. Jason Patrick's career ended after doing Speed 2 Cruise Control. Yeah. Very true. And I think that might have been the last time I saw Jason Patrick. I'm sure he did some other roles, but yeah. Coolest looking group of vampires, though, ever. And I never, ever suspected the vampire leader, the old guy. I never suspected him as the leader, So I think this movie was full of great surprises, nice surprises. But it's just a slick, really cool, sexy movie. It might be one of the sexiest vampire movies ever. Am I right on that, guys? And you know what? Let's tear the Band-Aid off here, okay? Let's open up with a big question. Is The Lost Boys... I'll ask you this first, okay? For you guys. Would you consider Lost Boys in your top 3 favorite vampire movies, okay? Top 3. Would you consider it top 3? And if it is your number 1 favorite vampire movie, then just maybe make a little annotation, say, it's actually my number 1, okay? But would you consider it top 3? Okay, chat says yes. Fruit Loops Are Us says yes. Absolutely, yes. Yes, I would. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Lost Boys is number 2. Nice. Holly, what would be number 1 for you? Would it be Fright Night? Jackson says it's his number 1. Can you guys believe? I always love the comic book store. You know, there's something about comic book stores and movies. I don't know what it is, especially back then in the 80s and 90s. I always loved comic book stores and movies. There was something cool about it, you know. You know, you got like freaking Unbreakable. Of course, this True Romance. It's like anytime you give me a comic book store and a movie, that's a good start. That's a good start. Because I've always been interested in the whole lore. Blade, thank you very much, Dave. Blade is definitely one of the best vampire movies out there, for sure. It might be in my top 3 as well. Okay? And I'll tell you this right now. It's hard for me to tell you if I prefer this or Blade because they're so different. You know, they're very, very different. They're both, I think, and Dave might disagree with me on this, but I think they're both equally bloody. I don't know. Maybe Blade's a little bit bloodier, but well, yeah, I guess so because the freaking final act is just like a bloodbath. But there's definitely some blood in this movie for sure. Guys, what are you watching? Are you watching the DVD? Are you watching the Blu-ray? Are you watching the 4K? Are you streaming? Chris says, my favorite vampire movie is Twilight movies. I don't care if I get hate for it. The story, the world building, the lore, the love triangle, and how the drama unfolds is really awesome. And I think that's awesome, Chris. I really do. Matter of fact, I think I saw the first 3. I saw up to Eclipse, and I didn't watch. I never got around to watching the last ones. And I will admit, back in the day, it was cool to hate on Twilight. And I might not like the movies that much, but I can't knock anyone for liking them. And especially female fans. Like that franchise has a lot of female fans for good reason, I think, you know? Vampires are, I think, the sexiest monster. And you know, Twilight, I think it does a good job serving that purpose. So, if anything, you got your pretty people. I think I wanted Twilight to be a little bit bloodier because I think everything was there to be a really good story. But for me, it did feel a little bit, well, I guess young adult. And I don't mean that as a bad thing. I mean that as a preference. And I've never been into the whole young adult subgenre. I've watched quite a few of them, and I never can really just get into them, you know. So, but I applaud you, Chris. I'm glad you loved them for sure. Holly says she's watching the Blu-ray. Dave says his first is Fright Night. Yeah, Fright Night's definitely up there. Jackson is streaming. I even love Fright Night remake. Streaming. Rosemary. Love the Twilight films and books. No hate here. Yeah, I love that, Holly. I love that. I love the Twilight movies, Ashley. You know what? There's a reason that the franchise made, you know, buku. A lot of fans. I'll say this. Out of all the Twilight movies, I definitely like the first one the best. You know, the first one's got some entertaining stuff in it. Especially the last act. I definitely like the last act. I'm watching the DVD. I'm watching the DVD, and I'll say this right now. I like my DVD doesn't look that good. It's good. It's serviceable, but I would prefer VHS or Blu-ray over DVD. I think VHS, it doesn't look artificial, if that makes sense. Like when I watch the DVD, especially when you see like the titles and whatnot, and you'll see the image looks almost artificial on the DVD because it's not the resolution's not up to par. So you get some blocking in there. Whereas for some reason, VHS, it feels more smoothed out. Even though it's obviously a lower resolution than DVD, it doesn't feel digital. It feels analog. You know what I mean? So when you watch a VHS, it doesn't feel blocking and layered. It feels smooth. So I know that's a crazy thing to say, but Blu-ray I think looks great because the resolution is there and you can actually see everything much better. This is definitely one of those fish out of water type movies too. You know, this family that's not from this culture, because that's what Los Angeles is. It feels like a different culture, like almost like you're on a different planet. Have you guys ever been to Los Angeles? Some of you might live close to Los Angeles. I don't know, but I've been there. It does feel like a different world. It does. I was there back about 2009, so maybe 15 years ago, close to 15 years ago, something like that. But it does feel like a superficial type of place. I noticed the people do seem prettier walking around, but they seem more self-involved than any other place. I grew up in Mississippi, and people from Mississippi are the opposite of people in LA. You know. Now, Kiefer Sutherland, he was pretty damn intimidating in this. Damn good villain, and he's cool. You know. You know, Jerry Schumacher, he, they asked him, why did you do a vampire movie? Why did you do The Lost Boys? And he was like, because vampires are sexy. I don't, Frankenstein's not sexy. That's a quote from him. So, he pretty much did this movie for superficial reasons, And maybe vampires are fun, which is ironic because I say for every 10 new vampire movies that are made, maybe one of them is good lately. There's so many bad vampire movies, and it's strange. It is kind of strange. Maybe there's only so far with that story that you can go. Maybe that's it. I don't know. What do you guys think it is? Why are there so many bad vampire movies? And it seems like the 80s was the decade of vampire movies. I feel like all the good vampire movies came out in the 80s, You had Fright Night, you had Lost Boys, you had that's a werewolf movie. Let me look it up. Hold on. Help me out, guys. What's some other Near Dark? That's the one I was trying to think of. Near Dark is great. And I think there's at least another 3 or 4 from the 80s that were great. Salem's Lot, there's another one. They're coming to me. Chris says lots of people blame Twilight for ruining the genre. Oh my God, Chris, you might be onto something there. And if I kind of unpack that a little bit, when Twilight came out, we're talking, what was it? Was it 4 movies or 5 movies? I think, because they did a part 1 and part 2 of the last movie. So 5 movies over I'm going to say maybe 10-year span, something like that, 7-year span. I don't know, but Twilight kind of ruled the vampire landscape for quite a while. And maybe it was harder to get vampire movies off the ground during that time frame. And vampire fatigue might have set in. And then you had a lot of people just hating on Twilight in general. And to defend those people, Twilight's not for everybody. I think Twilight really started the whole young adult craze. Were there any young adult movies before Twilight? I'm trying to think. I'm sure there were, but I think before Twilight, those were known as almost like after-school specials. And I don't mean that as a slight. I just can't think of, I guess those types of films that had the impact that Twilight did. So I think Chris is really hitting on something there. And maybe that's why we didn't see vampire movies so much after that or during that. Now, I'll say this. One of my all-time favorite vampire movies is Let the Right One In. And I think that movie came out before Twilight. And there was a remake, which is actually pretty damn good as well. But, great vampire movies in the last 15 years are kind of few and far between for me. But I can point to the 80s and at least think, and those two are arguably some of the best vampire movies ever made. I would say they got a little bit more highbrow with the genre with those two movies in the 90s. But I remember being very, very excited for Interview with the Vampire. Some of you guys might remember the hoopla around that movie before it came out because of who was in it. Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt. And I think this might have been the most hyped up vampire movie since The Lost Boys. Because I remember when The Lost Boys came out, there was a lot of hoopla around it. This is a big deal because at the time we had, this major cast of up-and-comers. You could almost look at it as like the rock and roll actors era, if that makes sense. The actors almost seemed dangerous at the time. Yes, Holly. River Phoenix was supposed to play. He was supposed to play Christian Slater's part for Interview with the Vampire. It's a shame because he would have been great. I think Christian Slater did a really good job, but I even think River Phoenix would have been a great Louis in Interview with the Vampire. Would you guys agree with that? Not to take anything away from Brad Pitt. I think he was great, but man, River Phoenix, I was watching his career and I felt like this guy was going to freaking skyrocket because of the level of acting talent that he had. He was, I would say, Leonardo DiCaprio pretty much took on the career of what River Phoenix probably would have, because Leonardo's a very picky actor and he's got the talent to back it up. I think River had that potential. I think the difference being is that luckily Leo never got the bug, the habit, the drug use. Whereas I don't know if River Phoenix was addicted, like an addict, probably. Or maybe it was his age. He was 23 years old when he passed away, I think. And when you're that young, you could just hit a window of your life where you might not necessarily be an addict, but you just hit it hard. You are partying really hard and heavy, So I don't know. I've never read anything about his drug problems outside of that. I don't know if he ever went to rehab or anything like that, but I think maybe he just got stuck in a really bad window of his life and it just caught up with him. It's a shame. I think Jack from Titanic was actually written for River. I did not know that, Rosemary. That's very interesting, actually. He would have been perfect as Jack. I even thought Leonardo kind of looked like River Phoenix a little bit in Titanic. The hair and everything. I think they both had a similar look. So now, switching it over to Brandon Lee, I know that Brandon Lee was actually thought of for 2 roles before he passed away. One being Mortal Kombat. Like, I think they were just going to give him the role of for Mortal Kombat. And then another one, in the very early stages of The Matrix, his name was thrown around, because he already had the martial arts ability. I mean, his freaking father was Bruce Lee. So, and Brandon Lee would have been absolutely amazing in The Matrix, although I think Keanu was perfect for The Matrix. So, yeah. So, yeah, now Michael is, he's hanging out with the wrong people, just like I was talking about with River Phoenix. But just imagine that. You're hanging out with vampires, and they're getting you to do crazy shit like hang off of a freaking trestle. Now, if I can share a personal story here, the trestles, is that what it's called? The big bridge? This scene always stayed with me because I was in a car accident when I was 17, and this was 1991. Yeah, 91. I was just about to graduate high school, and or is it trellis? Is it trellis? I can't remember, but I'll call it trellis. All right, and I'm probably wrong. Is it? I'll just say trellis. All right. There was a site back home in Columbus, Mississippi. On the weekends, we would go to and hang out, kind of like what you see here. And they're hanging out at this trellis. And a lot of young people would go and hang out there. And I remember it was like a Sunday night. And I was in church, actually, with my best friend, Rodney. And I can't even remember her name. It was a girl that Rodney was interested in at the time. I can't even remember her name. But we after church, we were going to go riding in his car. He had a Dodge Daytona Shelby, 1987, I think. And we were going to go down to the trellises. And we caught some gravel because there was this curve that was like a 90-degree curve. And I was driving at first, and for some reason, Rodney said, "Let me drive." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine." So I pulled over. I let Rodney drive, and I swear to you, almost instantly after he got behind the wheel, he drives straight to that curve, hits that curve really, really hard. And I remember I was reaching down to grab a CD. I was going to throw a CD in. And everything went black. And then I woke up on the side of the road. It was that I don't remember being thrown from the car, but all 3 of us, because his Dodge Daytona Shelby had like T-tops. And yeah, all 3 of us were thrown from the vehicle. And the side of the vehicle, which I saw, a few days later, was completely banged in at like a 90-degree angle. I guess he had hit like a concrete, whatever you call those big concrete barriers. He hit a concrete barrier or something like that. But I remember waking up, and it was black. I mean, it was like freaking. I remember looking at my watch, and it was 9:23 at night. I still remember it to this day. 9:23 at night, because that's the first thing I looked at. I woke up, and it's black, and I looked at my watch. It was 9:23, and I couldn't feel my legs. And so, and I remember the girl was laying, like I was laying on my side, and she was laying on her side, facing away from me, and I heard her crying, and I remember we both were just talking and praying during the whole thing, and just hoping that we would both be okay, because she couldn't move, and she got really screwed up. Next thing I know, I wake up, and I see my friend Rodney standing above me, and he's looking down at me, and he's like, Lee, he's like screaming my name, Lee, wake up. And then come to find out soon after, once we got to the hospital, that Rodney's back was broken. I shit you not. I am not lying. I am not a superstitious type of person, okay? I'm not even hella religious, all right? But that night I was praying, all right? But Rodney, his back was completely broken. Mine was fractured. I had a fractured lower vertebrae in my back, and that's why I still have back problems to this day. But Rodney should not have been walking. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe it was the adrenaline. I don't know. But Rodney literally walked until he found a phone booth and called the ambulance or called somebody for help. And the next thing you know, they all show up and they and I was freaking in the hospital for like 2 weeks after, couldn't walk. It was scary. It was a scary time frame. But every time I see the trellis in this movie, it brings me right back to that. It brings me right back to that. Being young and having a spot in town, because small town living, and just hanging out, But yeah, it is crazy how adrenaline kicks in, and you don't know what it's going to do to you, because I couldn't move. Now, I think this is a really well-written story because you got a lot of different moving parts in it. You got the young people, the kids. You got Michael, who has a different set of friends than his brother. I always forget Corey Haim's name in this, but so that's like two different side stories going on at once. Then you got the mother who's going on a date for the first time, and so you got Corey Haim not liking, of course, the date that the mother's having, and then eventually they think he's a vampire. They're giving him the garlic and all that stuff. And I think that's one reason why this movie is so perfectly paced, is because there's so many different elements to it, so many different things that are going on, and there's a lot of ground to cover. So it's really well written. Thank God, because if the script was bad, it'd feel like too much. But there's just a lot of great stuff going on in this movie. And the acting is fantastic on all sides, all fronts, Oh, yeah, Diane Wiest is amazing. I love her. And, I always saw her in, like, 80s movies. She was in so many freaking 80s movies. But is she even still acting? Levi, you okay, buddy? Come here, buddy. You all right, buddy? Guys, Levi's getting up there in age. Levi is 13 years old now. I can't believe it. Levi is 13 years old. And when I started my channel, he was 5 years old. Okay, he was still relatively young when I started my channel, but he's up there in age, and so he's a little slower now. And I worry about the little guy. I do. I love him to death. And it gets scary when your pet gets a certain age and you start thinking about, oh God, I hate to even say it, the end. Because most dogs, I think their lifespan is like 15 years if you're lucky. So, yeah, I mean, he still seems pretty good, but every now and then he'll he'll make little weird noises. So I don't know if maybe dementia's setting in. He's very affectionate all the time now. Like, he's right here next to me, but yeah, I worry about my little guy. That'll be rough. That'll be rough. I hope I go before Levi goes. Okay. Okay. Now we're in the famous bathtub scene when Corey Haim ain't got a man. He's doing the singing. Man, this movie broke Corey Haim out big time. He was just so full of life. And I remember a lot of young girls, they loved Corey Haim to death, Here's a great example of a creepy scene, okay? Michael coming up the stairs while his brother's taking a bath. And there's like one scene where you like see his eyes. But I think Corey Haim, he just suffered from too much too soon, because he was very young at the time, and to have that much fame thrown at you all at once, and everybody wants a piece of you, And then we all heard the stories from Corey Feldman about what happened to Corey Haim, whether it's true or not. I don't know. But yeah, it's a story that you hear, I think, every maybe decade or something like that. There's a kid that bursts on the scene that gets way too much fame all at once. Millie Bobby Brown, Rosemary, right? I worry about her. I really do, because when Stranger Things came out, the amount of fame that young girl had thrust upon her was kind of scary. And she was getting all the attention over the rest of the cast. I think it kind of leveled out with each season to where I guess the other cast got more attention. Like in season 4, the Sadie Sink, I think a lot of people loved her character in season 4. But it's scary because Millie Bobby Brown, because of Stranger Things, she's probably at the level that Corey Haim was back then, and Corey Feldman. Really, I personally don't think Corey Feldman reached the level quite as much as Corey Haim, even though he probably did more movies. And I guess that's debatable, but both of them, Haim and Feldman, both suffered a lot when they were younger. Feldman, because of his personal life. I mean, hell, I think a lot of these kids, you have situations where their parents take advantage of them, and let's just put it this way: I don't think I would want my kids to have that much fame. I would worry about them constantly. It would be, and I'll even say this: my daughter, she was a signed model for a brief period of time back in, I want to say it was before I even started my channel. It was like 2013 or 14 or something like that. And this is the reason why I ended up going to LA for a little bit, because at the time, I want to say my daughter was maybe 13, 14 years old. And my daughter's 5'10", so she had that, they call that like the sweet spot for young models. And she, was freaking skinny as a rail. And so we got some like professional photos of her. And then we sent, or my wife sent some pictures of her to modeling agencies in Los Angeles. And a lot of them wanted to see her. And so me and my daughter drove to Los Angeles back in 2009, I think. I remember that day, and I just took her from place to place to place to place. And I remember the lesson was, after all that, I was like, we would pretty much have to move to Los Angeles for this to work. And luckily, my daughter's heart wasn't set on it. I think it kind of freaked her out, So I probably would have supported it, and maybe we would have thought about moving if she wanted to, if she pressed us about it, if she was that serious. But luckily, my daughter wasn't that serious. But she did end up getting signed in Orlando through BMG, and she did a few shoots and everything, but she didn't like it. She didn't want it, and she didn't really want to go to the shoots, and so I'm kind of glad she didn't, and she ended up finding her own path, and now she's doing what she's doing, and I'm very proud of her. But you see these stories about like Corey Haim and Corey Feldman and maybe even Macaulay Culkin and so many of these kids. It's scary, And as a parent, I can imagine how much you would worry. And Shia LaBeouf is another example. If you guys have seen that movie about him, I think he might have, did he direct it? He might have directed it, but it's a really good movie, actually. So, Corey Haim, he's afraid of his brother now. He thinks his brother's attacking him. Which is a scary thought. I mean, can you imagine that? The Peanut Butter Falcon. Thank you very much, Chris. Really, really good movie. Shit-sucking vampire. I really loved Michael and his brother's relationship in this. You could tell that they were very close, and that's kind of established at the beginning of the movie. Like you know how brothers are, and there's the scene where he's like, licking his finger and putting it in his brother's ear. I'm sure some of you have brothers, right? Now I never had a brother, and I always wanted a brother. Like two guys, brothers. I have a sister. That's all I got. Just one sister, and a big sister at that. So, but brothers, it can go either way. You can have brothers that freaking hate each other's guts, and then you can have brothers that are so close, and then you can have both. But yeah, you could look like the Gallagher brothers from Oasis. Those guys hate each other's guts, and they still won't even talk to each other this day. The Robinson brothers from the Black Crowes, which they just got back together, actually, because there's a lot of money to be made. But, yeah. Jason, what's up, man? All right, Sean G's in here. Nice. If you guys want a timestamp... and you know what? We're about to do... Yeah, I got to do the first question for the giveaway. So, the timestamp is... Let me see. Hold on. Display. So, we're at 46 minutes exactly. 46 minutes exactly. All right. Let me show you what we got for prizes. All right. All right. Now, you tell me, okay? I'm going to give you 3 movies, and you guys tell me which one you want this question to be for, okay? So, first movie, Annabelle Comes Home, I think. Yeah, Annabelle. These are brand new, okay? Sealed. Annabelle Comes Home. The original Carrie, or Doctor Sleep. So, you got 2 Stephen King movies right there. You got Dr. Sleep, Carrie, and Annabelle Comes Home. All right? Start typing. Let me know which one you want this one to be. All right? And I'll call it. All right, so we got Carrie. Yeah, I think we're going to have to go Carrie. Chris says, "Oh, do those in order." If you guys want that, I'll do these in order. We can start it with Carrie. You know what? I'll tell you what other ones I got. I'm gonna do 3 questions, all right? But if there's one of these that you guys are dying to have, sound off. Otherwise, I'll just make it for those 3. Okay? But got the original Child's Play. Again, these are all sealed. Conjuring 2 and Don't Breathe. Okay? Don't Breathe. All right? So we'll make Carrie this first one though. All right, Carrie. Okay, so this is for Carrie. Let me pull up the question here. Put them in the right file in alphabetical order, as Nick Cage. Okay. All right. Let me pull up my question here. Okay. All right. Here's the first question. All right. I'm excited. I don't even want to say it. First question. Are you ready? Here we go. First question. We got Jamie Gertz and Michael. Star and Michael. They're about to get it on. Okay. One of the sexiest freaking... Is this a sexy love scene or what, guys? Right? Jesus. Okay. All right. Carrie. Okay. This is for Carrie. All right. Give me 3 movies that star Corey Haim and Corey Feldman together. Okay? Remember back in the 80s, guys, these love scenes? You don't get these anymore. You know? They got down in the 80s too. They don't get down like this anymore. Even in freaking 50 Shades of Grey, they don't they don't go like this, you know. All right, here we go. Holly says, License to Drive, Lost Boys, Dream a Little Dream. Holly wins Carrie. Holly is the winner of Carrie. Nice job, Holly. So Holly wins Carrie. Holly cannot win the next two, okay? The next two are going to be for one winner per prize, right? Okay. Congratulations, Holly. You kick ass. So, matter of fact, I'll annotate that on here. Okay. I put Holly's name next to that, and let me put the movie. Okay. Nice job. Nice job. Yeah, you know what? I think I like all the now, Holly, were there any others? Is that that's the ones I thought of. License to Drive, Lost Boys, and Dream a Little Dream. I'm trying to think. I feel like there might have been another one that they did together, but I can't remember. But setting that aside for Holly. Okay. Diane Wiest is the perfect mother figure in movies. You know, she just has that great mother aura about her. Like this particular scene right here, the way she's talking to Michael like a mother to a son, and she loves him and she cares for him and she worries about him. And I don't know, she just has this, I don't know if it's and it's an acting performance, or maybe it's just a vibe that she has. I don't know. I'm good, Jason. How are you doing, man? So, if you guys want the next two, Blown Away. Yeah, that's right. I knew there was another one, Holly. So, are you guys cool with for the next two questions being Dr. Sleep and Annabelle Comes Home? Or if you want me to swap out any of those for Conjuring 2, the original Child's Play, or Don't Breathe. Okay, I can swap out one of those for those if you want. But I'll keep it as this for now. Okay? Swap Annabelle with Child's Play. Would you guys agree with that? Yes, I remember Nicole Eggert being in Blown Away, and I think she was dating Corey Haim at the time. I agree. Swap Annabelle and Child's Play. Okay. All right. I will do that. So, there we go. So now, you're going to have Child's Play and Dr. Sleep. All right. So, I'm going to put the rest of these back. See, this movie has everything. You even got the Hounds of Hell. You got the vampire dog, you know? It fits in a little bit of everything in the vampire lore while giving it kind of an updated, modern feel, you know? And I think that can be a hard thing to pull off sometimes, but they really do it perfectly in this movie. I gotta look at well, guys. What is Corey Haim's name in this movie? It's driving me crazy. I'm gonna look it up. Hold on, let me look it up. Here we go. Lost Boys cast. Yeah, Sam. That's it. Sam. Okay. Yeah, and Kiefer Sutherland is David. And then you got the Frog Brothers. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Yes, Sean. Lucas, man. I freaking love Lucas. You know, I used to watch a lot of these movies in the 80s when they came out on HBO. I don't know if you guys remember, but HBO was like a really big thing in the 80s. And I just remember, like, I think it was every Saturday night HBO would like debut a new movie, you know? And they had that HBO intro music. A lot of you youngers, you don't even know what I'm talking about, but it was part of the experience, you know? You had to hear that freaking HBO. You had that freaking title coming at the screen, like, you know, in the night sky. And it was just the coolest thing. And every Saturday night, it was like an event. And a lot of these movies, like, I saw for the first time on HBO. Because I didn't get to go to the theater as much back then. But I always made sure I caught them on HBO. A few of them, like I saw Dream Warriors in the theater, which was great. Uncensored and no commercials. Yes, very true. Very true, Chris. Are you guys talking about Lucas? Jason, have you not seen Lucas? Oh my God, do yourself a freaking favor. Lucas is so good. You got a very young Winona Ryder in there, and I think she's probably maybe 12 in the movie. You got Corey Haim, who is probably the same age as her, very young. Charlie Sheen, and it's like a football movie, and he's like the nerd, and it's just a really wonderful movie. It's so good. I don't want to spoil anything, but I like that it kind of plays with your expectations in the movie. It doesn't quite go the way you want it to go, but it's still equally effective and great. And I like movies that go left instead of right, and that's what it does. It's so good. June Bugs. Frog Brothers, here we go. Now, guys, can you tell me who Corey Feldman, this isn't a trivia question, but can you tell me who Corey Feldman based his performance off of? What was he trying to channel with his performance? He was trying to talk like this, you know. Which is cool. I like an actor that tries to create a performance instead of just talking and being himself, you know. Yeah, Jason, that's right. Rambo. He said he saw Rambo 2 and he wanted to pretty much emulate that type of voice. Which is kind of cool because he was a kid. And if he would have been an adult, you know, like say Stallone's age, then people would have called him a copycat. But because he was a kid, he gets away with it. It's kind of cool, you know? Yeah, I could tell. Now, did Rambo ever wear a bandana in the Rambo movies? I think he did in like one of them, right? Or am I just thinking of a Daniel LaRusso? Yeah, he did, because remember, guys, at the beginning of Rambo 3, we should do a Rambo movie for one of these. But at the beginning of Rambo 3, you see him from the back and he's like tying the freaking headband. I love the Rambo movies, by the way. Oh my God. I'm such a Stallone fanatic. You know, I think they asked Stallone one time too, like who would win in a fight between Rocky and Rambo. And I think most people would think the easy answer to that would be Rambo, based on his fighting ability and his martial arts background and everything. But he did state, and I'm paraphrasing, so you can look this up on your own, but he did state that Rocky does have a specific set of fighting skills. And they're quite the opposite of Rambo. And if the two collided, he says, I don't know who would win, but it would be a really good fight. It wouldn't be a clear Rambo would win this fight or Rocky would win this fight, just because they both have such a unique and almost opposite set of fighting skills. You know, Rocky's obviously the harder puncher, but Rambo is kind of the more skilled, slippery type of fighter, I guess. He can use your momentum against you, I guess. So, yeah. Rambo is a survivor if you put them anywhere but a ring. That is a great point. So you like I think if you put them in a ring, maybe Rocky has the edge, but if you put them in the woods, then Rambo has the edge. You know, it's one of those type deals. But you know, they even have it broken down to like Rocky is at a different level with each Rocky movie, and I guess they said like the peak of his ability is at Rocky 4. Like he's just a machine in Rocky 4. Man, it's crazy. This movie feels so fresh and so modern. Um, I don't know, guys. Tell me, am I just showing my age here? But I think movies were written better back then. You know, they didn't have. I don't think they thought of politics and what would offend people back then like they do now. Maybe they did a little bit, but not like they do now. I'll even admit that in movies. I do think people take it too far. And I think to give those people credit that do take it too far, I think maybe they've just been burned too many times and it just, so it's easy to poke at anything that comes out. So I guess I get it, but luckily I still have that ability to go into any movie and be accepting of any type of character that you want to throw into a movie and any color that character is, as long as it fits who the character is. I guess I can spot bullshit, and some people like to make a mountain out of a molehill. And I think the elephant in the room here is movies like Evil Dead Rise. I did a whole video on my opinion why it's not woke. I don't know if it's woke or not. Okay, I don't care, but I guess that is the point. I don't care. As long as I'm in the story and the characters feel natural and like if you have a character that is trans in a movie, I don't have a problem with that. That particular family had a trans member in the family, and that character might have said something. I'm going to a freaking protest. Okay, you're just giving some a little bit of spice to whoever the character is, to maybe to try to stress who they are as a person instead of just making them a blank slate. As long as they don't go crazy with it, I don't care. As long as they don't step front and center into the camera and say, you know what, let's ignore the rest of this story and let's follow me for the rest of this movie and my daily struggles with prejudice or whatever. They didn't do that. They literally had like one line of the character stating who they are as a person. Didn't bother me at all. Hell, I didn't even notice the first time I watched it. Okay, so obviously people were looking for that shit. Oh, that's a trans person. I'm going to make sure I'm going to pay attention to everything they say, and hoping and praying that I find something that offends me. So I'm not saying others are wrong. I'm just saying that's just the way I approach movies. I ended up enjoying the hell out of Evil Dead Rise. And I was accepting of who the characters were. It didn't bother me. Okay? But I guess my point here is that back then they didn't even, like, you probably wouldn't see a trans person in a movie back in the 80s, Maybe there were trans people, but I don't remember any. And I don't think it would have bothered me, I have no problem with any type of person in a movie, So... But there was none of that, that hoopla. And I think part of it could be down to the writing. I don't think stories, because maybe we've had so many stories written over and over and over throughout time, that maybe it's just nothing feels fresh anymore. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. So you give them something simple like a family that gets attacked by deadites. And that's fine. That's all the Evil Dead movies are like that. Evil Dead Rise did the same thing, Boy, Michael is heavily stressed out in this movie. Jason says, Evil Dead Rise was good, but Evil Dead 2013 was the better movie. In my opinion, it was hardcore too. One thing I like that Evil Dead Rise did was it didn't repeat what came before. Evil Dead Rise does feel different than the remake. I don't think it's as hard-edged as the remake, and I love that both exist. Because some days I might be more in a remake mood where, the remake is really heavy. It's balls to the wall. It's not for the squeamish. Whereas I would say Evil Dead Rise might be the most accessible Evil Dead movie. And accessible's great. It's still got plenty of blood in it. And it's still Evil Dead, very much so. And it's got quite a few nods to like other Evil Dead movies, especially Evil Dead 2. So, yeah, I'd say... I think on my ranking, I put Rise just a little bit above the remake, but it could depend on, my mood. There might be a week where I prefer the remake. They're both very solid, in my opinion. I haven't seen Rise since I saw it in the theater, so I'm looking forward to watching it again. All right, let's do the next question. All right, you guys ready? We're going to do the next question. All right. Let me see Holly's thing here. You don't know how many times I thought Jamie Gertz played the girl on the boat at the beginning of Jason Takes Manhattan. I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah. There were a few actresses back then that looked like Jamie Gertz. But I think Jamie Gertz was like, I guess, the number one of them. Andy McDowell looked like Jamie Gertz a little bit. Maybe even... Well, Jennifer Connelly didn't really have the curly hair, though. I like how they asked Grandpa if they could borrow his car, and he didn't even answer them. They were just leaving. Okay, next question. All right. Now, if you were paying attention, one of you mentioned this one earlier. Okay? All right. So, this one will be for Dr. Sleep. All right? This one will be for Dr. Sleep. All right? Okay. Which action franchise did Jason Patric play in after this movie? He didn't play in the original, but he played in a sequel to this action franchise. Jason Patric. That should be an easy one. Jason gets it with Speed. I'm thinking Jason meant Speed, so yeah. So Jason gets it with Speed, so you win, Dr. Sleep. Let me put it on here. Yeah, Speed 2 is horrible. All right. Man, Speed, though, the first Speed, that's a great freaking movie. 1994. And, boy, that was a surprise hit. Like, I remember all the advertising, the marketing for Speed. And I don't think anybody expected it to be as big as it was, but man, it was the very definition of just a four-on-the-floor thrill ride with one of the most basic premises you can possibly imagine. I think even like Keanu Reeves said when he heard the premise, he thought it was stupid, because it's just, you got to keep a bus above 55 miles an hour, I think it is. Is it 50 or 55? Somewhere around there. But that's fun. If you have a really good director, a nice budget around that, because I think it's like Fast and the Furious. Like, it sounds like a Fast and the Furious type and this was well before Fast and the Furious. But that's just a lot of tension, and you can throw all these obstacles in front of that bus, and it was such a fun movie. So the sequel was, let's put it on a boat. Are you kidding me? Out of all the different options you have, you're putting it on a boat. I don't even remember Speed 2. I might have watched it all the way through once, but yes, Dennis Hopper was amazing. Pop Quiz, hot shot. Jeff Daniels was great, but I saw that opening night in the theater, and I remember leaving, and I swear everybody was speeding out of the parking lot. It was just so much adrenaline. And I don't think at the time I was like, man, movies can do that? I had so much, I was just energized after it. It was really, really good, really fun. Jan de Bont directed it. And it really made Keanu Reeves a big star at the time. Keanu Reeves has an interesting career because he'll do a big movie and then he'll do a slew of kind of bad movies. And then he'll just, just when you think his career's dead, boom, here comes The Matrix, And then so he's locked in for The Matrix sequels and everything. And then after The Matrix is done, his career's kind of dead. And then boom comes John Wick, He just has that ability. It's almost a perfectly planned out career, because it's not like Chris Pratt where you just have like big movie after big movie, and then all of a sudden people start getting sick of Chris Pratt, And then can he bring his career back? I think he was great in Guardians 3, but there's very few actors that have the career like Keanu Reeves, and even like in his later years now, people love the guy. When you have the ability to attract not only men but women, women love Keanu Reeves, men love Keanu Reeves. You want to hang out with the guy. We see all the stories behind the scenes of how he's like the nicest guy in the world. He gives the lady his seat on the subway. He's humble. Very few actors like that, and I think that's part of the reason why his career keeps, because that very idea can deflate a movie. I'll just wait until the daytime, then I'll go kill him. So you got to try to figure out a workaround, and just the idea of them being in the dark gives them the opportunity to wake up, which he goes in and he tries to kill a few of the vampires, and then David, Kiefer Sutherland, comes alive and scares the shit out of you with those freaking yellow eyes. Ashley says, Keanu is so awesome and sweet. He seems so down to earth. One of my favorite actors. Yeah, he does. You always hear those stories, too, that people that meet him in public and he's always friendly, He has that rare ability to not take himself too seriously. And I think that's a mistake a lot of, especially like young actors do. They start buying into their own hype. And I get it. I'm not judging them. I mean, when you have that much fame thrust at you all at once, it's probably hard not to buy into your own bullshit, I mean, that's what happened to... I mean, you can apply this to music, too, because I was watching this documentary on Kiss, and they were talking about, like, in the late 70s, everybody that was around them started... telling them what they wanted to hear, telling them that they were the greatest thing ever, lying to them. They had a manager that would make each member feel like they were his favorite, They were in a bubble. And, they were like, every time they would go into a building, somebody would hold the door open for them. Just basic things. And after a while, when you live in that bubble, you're going to start buying into your own bullshit. And they got to where they hated that. And they wanted to just kind of, in a way, be free again and not be a prisoner of fame, so to speak. I know Elvis, he stated that he would give anything to just be able to walk down the street. He would give it all up just to be able to walk down the street. You know, when everybody wants a piece of you. There's very few stars that have had the level of fame like Elvis and the Beatles. Michael Jackson, maybe. But, I mean, at that level. Have you guys ever seen that documentary on Amy Winehouse? If you haven't, it's pretty eye-opening about what the life of a celebrity is like. And I even think it played a part in her death. You know, because very young, drug addict, and the paparazzi, all they wanted was a piece of her. They didn't care about her as a person. And when you watch, like, I can't put into words how crazy it was for her. Unless you watch the documentary, you'll see it firsthand. When she walks out the door, you just hear the flashes of like 1,000 cameras. You know, can you imagine that, walking out your front door and like 1,000 cameras are just boom right at you, and every single time you go out the door, that's what it's like. Jesus. Man, movies do not look like this anymore, you know? It kind of reminds me of that, like, Tony Scott look, this movie, a little bit. Just the cinematography is just gorgeous. And there's almost a euphoric type of look to the movie. Yeah, color grading, it's a real thing, guys. I've seen some of these like before and after shots of what color grading can do to a movie. It can make a movie look cinematic, and that's what this movie looks like. But I think Tony Scott, his movies had the most cinematic look you can imagine. I think Michael Bay might have taken a little bit of inspiration from Tony Scott, because his movies have a certain look as well. Even though they're not that, the Transformers movies they get pretty bad. You know, I mean, Michael Bay's spotty. He's hit and miss. He does have some great ones though, to his credit. But you know, a lot of people, they talk about, like, say, Top Gun, for instance. Tony Scott did the first Top Gun. Now, when Top Gun Maverick came out, and this is my own personal opinion, but everybody was just going gaga over that movie, and you know, saying it was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and I rewatched Tony Scott's movie right before I went and seen it, and I love it. I love the original Top Gun. It's very good, but part of the reason I love that movie is because of the way it looks. You know, Tony Scott has a certain feel to his movies. And it's beautiful looking. I didn't think Top Gun Maverick had that look, you know, which is fine. And also, I thought Top Gun Maverick was a little cliche. Now, not to take anything away from the flight scenes. The flight scenes are what make that movie great, okay? But the whole love story between, you know, Tom Cruise and Jennifer Connelly in that movie, I could take it or leave it. It didn't really do it. It felt like a good, fun action movie, but I didn't think it was anywhere near the level of Top Gun, the first Top Gun. My own personal opinion, but yeah, I think we were just starving for a great movie at the time, maybe, you know. And here comes Top Gun, and it's a sequel to a movie that came out 30, you know, some years ago. So I think there was a lot riding on that movie, and I think that's part of the reason why it was such a big hit. Not a bad movie either, okay? especially to see in a theater. And this was right at the end of, or kind of, I guess it was kind of in the middle of COVID, even though theaters started opening back up. But it was one of the, it was like one of the few movies that were out at the time. And that kind of helped it too. It was kind of like the return of theaters. So, yeah. I mean, I'd even say I'd probably put the Mission Impossible movies, some of them, above Top Gun Maverick, But that's just me. Who said Alien? I would love to do an Alien watch. Chris says, I second that on Alien watch. We need to do an Alien watch. Yeah. We could do the first Alien, yeah. I mean, I'm an Alien fanatic, okay? Don't get me started on Alien. How did that lady who owned a bar also own a huge sailboat and a Porsche? Dang. Are you talking about in the movie? I should be talking about the movie, shouldn't I? See? Nobody can veer off the path like I can, in a commentary. I rarely ever stay on the movie. That's some creepy shit when the guy comes up out of the bathtub. I just posted this question on Killer Flicks the other day. Give me your favorite booby trap movies. There's so many of them. And I forget this movie actually has booby traps, right? They set all these booby traps up for the vampires. Yeah, Dave Vanderhoff, he probably left, but there's your blood right there. Look at that. Just freaking tons of blood flowing out of the toilets and the sinks and every orifice of the house. That's not CW. Come on. What's up, Ryan? Been swimming with the kids. Well, I think that's more important, Ryan. That's awesome. That's awesome. I can't believe we're close to the end of this movie. Holy shit. This is a great final act, too. See, maybe, hey guys, do you think CGI could be one of the downfalls of vampire movies these days? Because they like to use CGI blood and whatnot. Because man, this is one thing I do miss about the '80s. You didn't have CGI; they had to get creative. And you know what? Maybe part of that too is because you didn't have CGI back then and you had to get creative. Maybe during that whole creative process, maybe other ideas like popped in your head. That you ended up adding to the movie as well. Whereas when CGI, you just, granted, it's not the easiest thing in the world to create those effects on a computer, but it's kind of singular in nature and linear. Whereas with practical effects, it's more of, I guess, an analog type thing, You have to walk over here and walk over here and walk over there and put all these pieces together and, everything's analog. And maybe while you're in the process of doing all that, because there's so many different things going on, maybe other ideas pop up, Can you believe I've never done a top 10 vampire movies? I've done so many freaking I've probably done 100 top 10s by now. I've never done a top 10 vampires or a top 10 werewolves. That's insane to me. Sometimes I forget that I haven't. Like, I'll be like, surely I've done a top 10 vampires. And I'll go look and no, I guess I never did. That's freaking crazy to me. That'd be an easy list to create too because there's so many of them, right? But it's a tough one for me too to do like the number one. Like top 5 would probably be easy, but the number 1 is tough because of so many different variables, I guess. Now, Holly, I have done creature features. I did 2 creature features. Remember when what's the alligator movie, Crawl? When that movie came out, I did 2 creature feature top 10s, and that was a lot of fun. There's a lot of great creature features out there. You got Kid Vampire. The Attack of Eddie Munster. 'Cause, 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 'cause Now, you can kind of compare vampires to deadites. I guess that notion that a loved one usually turns into a vampire. And so then you're faced with that predicament. Can I kill my loved one? Like this scene right here where she's trying to protect the little kid who's her friend, I guess. Or she's kind of a mother figure to him. And she knows he's evil because of the vampire, but she still wants to protect him. And I think that makes for really great emotional horror. It's not just a straight up monster that you have no emotional connection with, There's feelings there. If I kill this, sometimes I think the worst one is when you're faced with your spouse or your children. You have to kill one of your children or your spouse. And that's not an easy thing to do, That's what makes Pet Sematary so great. The guy loves his child so much that he brings the child back to life, probably knowing that the kid's going to not be the same. And then he brings his wife back, That makes for great freaking horror trauma. It does. Yeah, guys, what's better? Give me right now. What's better? Let's answer this question. Lost Boys or Fright Night? Give me the answer. Which do you think is the better movie? And I couldn't live without either. I have to have both of them. They're both very sexy vampire movies. They're both very freaky. The practical effects are top notch in both. It's tough. Chris says, remember Underworld Rise of the Lycans, how disappointed Victor was in his daughter, and he felt that he had to kill her. Yeah. I love Rise of the Lycans, and I think it's highly underrated. And Chris, wasn't it you that was telling me that they actually put the scene from Rise of the Lycans in the first Underworld on the 4K? Because they use a different scene in the original movie. Holly says Lost Boys all the way. Chris says I'm a Fright Night guy, but I love them both. Jason says gotta go with Fright Night, but damn, that's hard. Rosemary, holy shit, you've never seen the original Fright Night? Oh my God, are you in for a treat? I'm actually jealous. Fright Night is so good. Like it's up there with Lost Boys. That probably is my top two. Okay. The freaking nightclub scene. I'm not going to spoil anything for Rosemary, but guys, the nightclub scene in Fright Night, am I right? It's so good. I love it. Yeah, now you have homework. Way more memorable characters in Lost Boys. Yep. I agree. I do agree with that, even though I do love the freaking characters in Fright Night as well. Yeah, man, Rosemary, you gotta see it. Okay, Rosemary, let us know what you think of it. Okay, you gotta let us know what you think. I was even. Have I done? I think I did a commentary on Fright Night. I'm pretty sure I did actually. But yeah, that's a really great movie. Let's do the last one. Okay, we got the Child's Play here, the first movie. All right, and guys, I'm going to say I just watched the remake of Child's Play in the last few months because when Megan came out. And I just didn't, I think Megan's okay. I think I've watched it 3 times now. I like the character Megan. I just don't like everything around Megan. I don't know what it is. I would definitely run right out and watch the next Megan movie because of the character of Megan. So they got that right. Megan's a cool-ass character. But the movie itself, I thought it was kind of bland. And I think the Child's Play remake pissed off a lot of people because it's not the normal Chucky. It's Buddy. And I just look at it as a different, like almost like a spinoff of Chucky or whatever you want to call it. But I absolutely adore the Child's Play remake. I think it's got plenty of blood in it. It's got Aubrey Plaza in it. I like the kids in it. And I think the doll was pretty damn sinister. I don't like the look of the doll as much, but yeah, I think I prefer that one. But yeah, let's do this for the. This isn't the remake. This is the original, 1987. 87 was a good year. What's another movie? Great freaking horror movie that came out in 87, guys. Right? That's not the question. Let me look at the question. Dream Warriors. I answered it for you. Okay. Okay, here we go. Here's the question. All right. What did rock... Oh, no, hold on. Let me rephrase that. What rock artist did saxophonist Timmy Capelli, the sexy saxophonist in the movie, play for during the 80s? Let me repeat that. What rock artist did saxophonist Timmy Capelli play for during the 80s? Okay. He still believes. Let's see. Sean G gets it. Tina Turner. And there's a reason I chose that question, because rest in peace, Tina Turner. She was an icon. It's so sad that she freaking passed away. But man, the timing couldn't be better for that question. Guys, and I'll tell you right now too, I would say out of all the biopics I've ever seen, the What's Love Got to Do with it, that is probably the best biopic I've ever seen. It's heart-wrenching, it's uplifting, it's different than your normal biopic template. Just because Tina Turner's story is unique, and how she started off as kind of a backup singer for Ike Turner, and she became the star of Ike and Tina Turner, undeniable because of her voice and her talent. And her career pretty much ended when he beat her, and she resurrected her own career in the 80s when she was kind of past her expiration date, as a star, and she became bigger than ever. And Angela Bassett, yes, Chris. Oh my God, everybody's praising Angela Bassett for Wakanda Forever, and rightfully so. She's fantastic in the movie. The movie itself isn't that great, but man, she won. I think she won the Oscar for What's Love Got to Do with It. I'm almost positive she did, because she was flat out amazing in the movie, and there was nobody that could play Tina Turner like she did. I mean, she was fantastic. But yeah. It hit me when Tina Turner died, But she lived a nice, long life. She was 83. She's the same age as my father. And, man, she's just one of those artists that will never, ever be another Tina Turner. Her voice was so unique. And, yeah, it's a shame that she passed away. But what a talent. What a legacy to leave behind, And the song, What's Love Got to Do with It? That was the song that broke her out again. And man, it's a great song. So Sean, let me put my note here. Yeah. And guys, within the next couple of days, winners, I will reach out to you, okay? And I will get your information, so that way I can send you. I'll send you your winnings. All right, you guys are awesome. Oh, well, here we are. The movie is over. This was a lot of fun. I probably should have talked about the movie more, but I like talking to you guys about stupid shit. And we'll definitely do Better Off Dead, because a lot of people did want to watch Better Off Dead. So we'll do Better Off Dead on the next month. And maybe I'll throw out some choices. Alien will definitely be one of those choices for after that. But I'm going to try to do more of these per month. And maybe just to make up for it, maybe in like a couple of weeks, we'll do Better Off Dead, instead of waiting another month. Or, guys, let me ask you guys this. For the next live stream, would you rather do news and topics together like we did the last go-round, maybe alternate the movies? Or for the next one, would you rather just go right into like Better Off Dead, another commentary? Let me know in the chat. I always love your feedback. Love your ideas. Love my patrons. Yeah, One Crazy Summer, Holly. Not enough people talk about One Crazy Summer. It's not as good as Better Off Dead, but it's still very fun. And Demi Moore is in it. I say alternate one movie, then news and such, then back to a movie. I like that too. Ashley says another commentary. Uh-oh. Okay, yeah, so a few people are saying alternate. So I'll tell you what, though. What I'll do is to try to get us to the Better Off Dead one, I'll do, let's say maybe 2 weeks from now, we'll do the live hangout news catch up and all that stuff, okay? She's a woman. They always win. They do. Thank God for women. I'm saying it. Okay. All right, guys, that's it. We did it. We did the live commentary. It was a lot of fun. I'll make this live public, I guess, on the channel now. I always do that with commentaries. With the live hangouts, I usually don't. I'll just clip out some stuff like I did last time. So, and I'll get topics from you guys too, as well, like topics you would like me to discuss. That'd be cool. And maybe down the line too, we can do where like I can have a few of you on with me, and we can all just bullshit and chat. That could be fun too. So I don't know. I'm always trying to mix it up and stuff. Keep it fresh, keep it interesting. So yeah, but anyway, guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Memorial Day, and this was really fun. And take care of each other. And eat a big, fat, juicy burger for me tomorrow, okay? Love you guys.